this is a Dell XPS tower computer. This was a Dell XPS tower computer. So what's the deal here? Why do I have this Dell XPS case missing the motherboard? Well, this used to be a Dell XPS 8700. There's the service tag. Manufactured towards the end of 2013. Had a video card in it too. You can tell because it has that piece right there. But the motherboard failed. And obviously it's not really economical to put another motherboard in one of these things. I don't remember how it failed. I know it was a beep code, but I don't remember which beep code it was. Other than it was pretty terminal. Like, it wasn't a power supply, it wasn't RAM, it wasn't anything like that. It was a terminal code, probably having to do with a corrupt BIOS, if I had to guess. So my intention, I stripped the board out. I've already taken the video card out and put it into something else, but I stripped the board out, and my intention was to use this as a platform for another system, and that is exactly what I'm going to do. But I did have to make a modification to this case. And I'll show you what I had to do just as soon as I take this plastic bit out of here. The only problem with these Dell systems is that they have this proprietary front panel connection point. This is a 12-pin connection. It needs a power switch, a power LED, and a hard drive LED. So what I did is I went ahead and salvaged some connection points off of an old case, and I've put them on here. So we should be ready to install a board. Now the question of the day, what board? Here we have the motherboard. This is another one of those interesting designs. It is a BioStar board, a model Hi-Fi A70U3P, which would ordinarily be completely unremarkable. It's a socket FM2 board. I think it's an FM2. It might be an FM1, but I'm pretty sure it's an FM2. Be unremarkable were it not for this hi-fi feature that it has, this hi-fi sound chipset. My plan is to use this in the studio because it has the hi-fi audio chipset. Now there's a couple of problems. You might have noticed there's no fan on top of that, and there was a fan on top of it before. We'll take a look at that in a second. I will need a video card on this, and the reason why is because this actually has an AMD Athlon X4, I think it's an 880K chip, which does not have integrated video. So I'm going to need to add a video card, and my collection of video cards is really kind of, well, not great. But the only card I think I've got on hand at this particular point in time is this one. And I hate these cards. I have so many of these things, and they're just not really all that great. It's GeForce 310. I believe it does actually have some 3D acceleration on it, but it's not all that great. And of course it's got this tiny cooler on it with the tiny fan that's going to blow up after 5 minutes. So that's the video card I'm going to have to install on it for now. The reason why the fan is off on this is because somebody, when they were putting this together, messed up and had the fan installed like this. I mean, obviously they had it installed, but they had it installed upside down. And at first I was wondering why. Then I had a look at this corner, and you can see that corner is busted off. If you also take a look at this that tab right there is busted off. So here's how I'm going to do this. So that way I can put this back into service. Put the busted corner with the busted tab, and now there shouldn't be any problems. We'll hook this back into place. The other thing I'm kind of curious about on this is I kind of wonder if there's any thermal compound on this. And we'll see that in a minute when I fire it up, because I have actually powered this motherboard on. I know that it works. I've flashed the BIOS to the latest release, everything else. So I know that it works, but it did have one problem that we will see once I have it in the case. So let me get the case back up here and we'll install this then. Okay, jumping ahead a lot. I've got this thing ready in shape fit to power up. But I've run into some snags. Number one, well, actually all of them, is due to the fact that this case really is just not designed for this. So I can't use a lot of the cable management because the cables aren't long enough, and the cable for the front panel USB 3.0 is not long enough, period. So I can't even use it. I'll have to see if I can maybe find an extension on that. I mean, they probably exist. But yeah, this case really just isn't suited for this, and I can't plug in the rear case fan either because the wire is too short to reach the front panel header that is right there. So I'm going to have to find another fan. And I don't believe I have another fan to hand that is the same size as this and has a longer wire, because most of the fans that I have on hand that are this size came out of similar Dells and have similar short wires. It's not going to stop me from looking, but I don't think I'll find one. Okay, cabled up. I do have an LED. I'm going to set up here. And we'll just take a look. Yeah, CPU is still quite hot. So I think this is going to need some thermal compound on that. I think otherwise we're pretty much okay. It does have a PXE option ROM. So I'll hit Control-Alt-Delete. I think my LED connection is backwards because I have a yellow power light, so I'll have to fix that. But I'm also going to have to fix I'll have to fix a lot of other things. Oh god. I don't have a reset switch either. I'm not running whatever that is. What's the key to get into F9? Realtek PXE option ROM. That's what I want. And we'll see, number one, if it works. Number two, if I can actually go ahead and install Windows. It's definitely going to need a case fan because I'm pretty sure that all of this stuff is going to overheat. Like I can already feel some serious heat coming off of all that. Let's see, there's some LEDs down there in the Puro Hi-Fi. Neat stuff. Now we'll see what happens with this. If it'll actually boot it, or if I run into a problem. Okay, we're now here at this point. Unfortunately, I had to add a second network adapter to this because the onboard Realtek doesn't have a driver under Windows PE. Predictable. And as it turns out, adding drivers is almost impossible, so this is the version of Windows that I need. We'll do a custom install. Overwriting everything that's here. Install to that unallocated space, please. You see network activity. Funny enough, off of both network adapters, but it is working. Alright. Oh, peace be still, you stupid monitor. No one cares. So it installed, and I'm now trying to bring it up to date and hopefully get it activated without any issues. I doubt that's going to happen. Okay, a couple hours later, and we are fully up to date, but not out of the woods in terms of problems. My video actually loaded, and I was mildly surprised to learn that this is actually a Radeon HD 6450. I thought that this was a GeForce 310. The 6450 is a much better chip, so I think I'm going to leave that in there. I do have a GT 520 that I could put in here, which would be better than this, but I know that there's also been some issues with AMD chipsets and GeForce video cards, so I think I might leave that alone. Of course, you have the SSD. The other thing that's kind of interesting about this is that this is a Blu-ray drive. I'd forgotten that these XPS systems that we had gotten in at work pretty much all have Blu-ray drives in them. They're just Blu-ray readers, nothing special or anything like that. And yes, I'm using a hockey puck mouse. It works just fine. Broadcom Net Extreme. Well, that's interesting because that actually is supposed to be an Intel network adapter. And this is supposed to be Realtek. So I don't know why it's picking up the Intel network adapter as a Broadcom, but I guess it is. So you see here, there's two devices here, the Ethernet and the USB, and I don't know if I have the right drivers for those. We'll go into our downloads here, we'll take those and put them in the downloads, and try and install some stuff and see if we can get those to work. The other thing you might have noticed is I installed a rear case fan that'll actually work. Now, it runs, but the problem with this motherboard is it has a 3-pin fan header, so it will not support the speed control that this fan supports. So it's just running full tilt. So I'm going to have to find another fan. Claims to be 4 degrees. Yeah, I don't think so. So there's definitely a problem there with the fan speed report. The reporting on that, that's not quite correct. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it was running like 62, 63, 64 degrees. So I think that I'm going to have to redo the thermal paste. Alright, other than the replacement fan in the back, should pretty much be ready to go. The LEDs are working. The hard drive LED is fine, and the power LED is working, except it's backwards. So you might notice when I power this on and do the full boot process on this, that this LED is amber instead of white. Have all the drivers installed. Everything is now working. So the only thing that I should have to do, and it's probably going to make me restart anyway because it just installed that for the hard drive. Yep, I'm going to have to reboot it again. The last thing I need to do is run the Windows benchmark. And here we have our ratings. 7.4 each on CPU and RAM. 5.0 and 6.3 on the video, and then a 7.8 for the SSD. I'm surprised it didn't get a 7.9. But I think that that disk transfer rate, that benchmark is useless anyway for like anything. In fact, it's arguable whether or not these benchmarks are really good, period. But the system works, so other than a new fan, which it will get, maybe a different power supply that doesn't get quite so hot, we are ready to shut this thing down and finish this video. Thank you for watching, and if you have any comments, feel free to leave them below.